Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Ete with another episode of The Company Next Door here in Archie's Underground in Heber. I'm here with my guest, Kyle Moody. Kyle, what's up, man?
Not a lot. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you for taking some time out.
Yeah.
I know you're a busy guy, so it's grateful to have you come in the studio, and been trying to set this up for a while, so I'm glad we could do it today.
Yeah, we have. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome, man. So this week, I do my son, he stopped going to school about a year ago. We started doing homeschool. He had some anxiety.
Oh, okay.
And so just this week, we were talking something, and don't worry, this is going to connect to what we're talking about. I just thought of it now. But we were talking about, I do a financial class, and I do a work, kind of a business class with him. And the concept we were talking about was, his name's Jonah. I said, Jonah, whatever job you get, be the best at it. If you get a job as a floor sweeper, as a McDonald's hamburger flipper, like, do it so good, like, smile, show up early, give service that no one's giving, like, act like it's the most important job in the world. Let it be the most important job in the world. And I promise you, in the end, it will pan out to be, you will do so well in life.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if he fully understands what I was trying to tell him, but just basically that. It's all about the attitude, the energy that you bring, and the care and the thought that you put into anything, whether you're the CEO of Fortune 500 or flipping burgers at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And so today, guys, my guest here, I think he actually embodies that, because if you have been, so we're in Heber, Utah, and if you have been here and you've ever gone to the grocery store, our local store is Smith's. It's a Utah chain. Is it just Utah only? I don't know.
No. So Smith's is everywhere. It's in Las Vegas.
Okay.
It's in it's around.
So it's a west. It's a west.
It's owned by Kroger, which I think Kroger's based in Cincinnati.
I know Kroger.
Yeah, yep. And so like Kroger, Fry's, Safeway, Fred Meyer's, City Market, King Scoopers, it's all connected.
Okay. Well, and we're not talking about Smith's today, but what we're talking about is if you've been to Smith's here, a grocery store, and you have gone in those doors, you probably know this guy. He works there, and I don't even know his exact job, but I can't go in the store or out of the store without meeting him. And one thing that I've always appreciated, I met him about years ago, is just he does just what I was trying to teach my son. He has a job there, but he goes 5 miles the extra mile, and it makes a customer feel like they matter.
Yeah. To
the point where, and I'm sure you have this a million people, we get on a first name basis, and after a few years, like this is the first time we've ever met outside of the Smiths.
Yeah.
But after a few years, we start, hey man, what's going on? And he started a business, and we're going to talk about that. But just this idea of give everything you can to where you work, and it will pay off. So with that being said, why do you give so much energy? Why do you care so much? Why, when you're at Smith's working, why don't you just show up, get your check, clock out, call it a job, and then go work on your business?
I think a lot of it is from my grandma, my grandpa. My grandpa, he was a very, hardworking man, and he, even when he retired, he went and got another job. And from what I remember being in the back of the car, my grandma the passenger, my grandpa driving, and we would go deliver phone books. And they'd like park in the street, and I'd hand them phone books. And so I would see them work together. I would see them, I always saw my grandpa giving his all, whether it was to my grandma, whether it was to just anything, with my aunt, with my biological dad, he just, with my cousin, just everything he was about, it just really seemed like he gave it his all. And so for me, I just always kind of had that drive. I moved here from California, Las Vegas to here, and when we moved here, the moment I saw snow, I want to shovel driveways. And so I think I was like 13, I was shoveling driveways. And then before you know it, and maybe it's that same thing. Maybe it was because I just gave it my all. Yeah. I started building all this clientele, and neighbors telling neighbors, oh yeah, I have this kid, Kyle, that comes and shovels my driveway. Yeah. And so I just started, I got to the point where I had to get one of my brothers and a friend to help me.
Because you had too many driveways.
Yeah, and who knows what happened with all that money, Yeah.
like
what does a kid do with,
candy?
Candy, rollerblades,
But this idea, so let me ask you, when you get up, and for those of you in the Valley, you know what I'm talking about. Most people, Kyle, like you just know who he is. Is there a thought process? Do you get up every day and just say, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to kill it today, and because one day it's going to pay off? Or is it just embodied in who you are?
Well, so I can tell you one thing that was like a huge, I think magnified my, that strength or that love for people. Yeah. Is when I gave my life to Christ, when I became a believer. That was a huge thing because then even when you meet somebody who's having a terrible day and they take it out on you, when you learn to pray for them, it changes everything.
The way you are, the way they interact with you, the way you accept their anger. Because working at retail is not an easy job. Like
you meet some pretty nasty
people. Are nasty. Yeah, people are
during COVID.
Yeah, right. People are crazy, and so so you use your faith to understand that that's their stuff. And have compassion for them. So
I just like I've learned that I just learned that our Father just loves everyone, and so for example, there was one day. There was a customer that was just being so mean and nasty to me, and she was mad because she didn't want to go to self-checkout. And this is what I hit all the time is people, they don't want to go to self-checkout. But the check stands are so full that they're just forced to come to self-checkout.
Gotcha.
So this lady, the moment she started checking out, she was already rolling her eyes.
Yeah.
The moment something happened, I mean, like 5-second waiting, and
you're like, oh, here we go. Pray.
Yeah. And so she kept getting mad. And I finally just, after she, just chewed me out, I was like, you know what? What's your name? You seem like you're having a bad day. Do you mind if I pray for you? And that
you said this to her.
Yeah. And I
not knowing her religious background.
Because everything with my faith is not about religion or being religious, It's about just, if you really learn about Jesus, it was more love, And so I was just, every time I bring up my faith, even here, I always make sure that I'm not pushing it in a religious way, but I'm just pushing it, not even pushing it, I'm just bringing it out
love
and
love, goodness,
And so when I brought it up to her, I had no plan to offend. I just had that plan that like the love for her, even though I don't even know her, the love that I know our Heavenly Father has for her, and the love I have for this stranger, that she's having such a bad day that she has to take it out on me. Like, gosh, man, what's going on in her life? And so I literally, when she kept just being the way she was being, I looked at her. I said, what's your name? Do you mind if I pray for you? And
how was that received?
Well, the first response was, excuse me? And I had already gotten in trouble once with my faith, and that was just someone asked me about my baptism, and I was like, yeah, I'm excited, and someone was like, oh, this needs to stay at church, not at work, and I got complained about. So I was already in trouble in a way, but I really wasn't.
Yeah.
But because I got they made a complaint about it, I was kind of like, okay, I need to be careful. So when she said excuse me, I was like, okay, Lord, and I went and said, yeah, you seem like you're having a bad day. You're taking it out on me, and it's okay. I'll take it. But I at least want your name so I can write it down on my wrist. And I went and got a Sharpie mark and I wrote her name. And I said, I'll write it down on my wrist just so I can just pray for you. And I hope you have a better day. And then she's like, well, this happened last week. And then this happened yesterday. And it's just every day, And so she like opens up her whole life story. And then I even had to go help someone. And I came back and she was still waiting there to finish talking to me. And so after that, after hearing about her day, and it was a terrible week, not even just a day, but a terrible week with her.
Wow.
And I realized, okay, like she needed that. And then when I saw how she walked out, just like weight off her shoulders, it was like almost like, man, I need to do that more. And so now it's like every time someone's mean, I'll try to ask if I could pray for them, or I'll when I get a second, I'll go in our little closet that's between safe in the office, and I'll go pray in the closet real quick, and I'll come back out.
Wow.
And so I feel like I've always been that way, loving and outgoing, but there's definitely no question that when I became a believer and, really grew, not just know of God, but know him personally and like that love.
Okay.
And also to be a father and like think about like how, I love my children no matter what.
Because you have three kids?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And so like when I think about that, it just makes it that much more easier. It like multiplies your love for people.
Wow.
And so, and on top of that, like we live in a really good valley, like there's just so many people that have shown me a lot of love and respect, I had an experience just last week. I was doing laundry and I had to hurry and get to work, and I left my laundry at the laundromat and it was in a dryer, and I was doing something, I was cleaning, and all of a sudden, like, I think I was like, oh shit, like oh snap, and another customer who I know very well, he's like, you good, Kyle? I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, no, I just forgot something. He's like, well, what's wrong? I was like, well, my laundry, man, I left it in the dryer and it's gonna close. And he's like, well, you can be able to go get it. And I was like, I don't know, I don't know if I can leave work to go do it. And so he literally like offered, like, he's like, well, you got your laundry baskets with you? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, let me go get your laundry. I'm like, no, man, it's okay. He's like, no, Kyle, like, really, like, when are you going to get your laundry? Tomorrow morning. And he's like, oh, no, just let me do this for you. And so he went and, you know, got my laundry baskets, grabbed my laundry, and brought us mess. Wow. You know, and that's the stuff that you don't expect people to do. Yeah. You know, and I offered him, you know, something in return. But
so when you put it out there, though, it seems to come back tenfold.
It always, it does.
And so that helps me understand, if you're coming with that approach and that lens on business and people in general, then now I understand why you do care so much, why you take time. I mean, sometimes I'm at Smith's checking out and I can't even talk to you because you've got 5 people trying to talk to you. Yeah. So I feel like you're friends with the whole valley. So now I understand why. Yeah, because you really actually care about the people.
Yeah, I love everybody here.
So before we jump into the business, back me up a little bit, because you came from California, in Vegas, and then you made to Utah, and you mentioned you became a believer. I think that was the word you used. Yeah. So I'd love to hear a little bit about coming from there to here, and what were you before you were a believer? Were you like, was it a rough upgrowing, or not too much? Or
so I was born in California, San Bernardino Upland. I believe I was born like a Monrovia. I think it was Montclair Hospital. Okay, yeah, that's where I was from. And I left California. I was about 3.5, so I don't really remember California too well. And then we moved to Las Vegas, and really, the background there was, you know, my mom and who I call my dad, they were looking for a new beginning. You know, they had some rough goes. Sure. You know, and so they just wanted to, you know, start over.
Fresh start.
Yes. And so we came to Las Vegas with my mom, my dad, and my 2 brothers and sister. And technically they're you know, we're step. You know, as my mom married I can't even call him stepdad, because he's just like my dad. You know? I love him to death.
That's fine, man.
And so so that dad of mine, he's been there since I was like maybe, I don't know, 2.5, 3.5 years old. And so we moved to Vegas together, and I had my dad, I had my brother Eric, Mikey, and Misty, and then my siblings on my mom's side, I have Kathy, Jackie, and Bobby, and they came, like, stayed and visited, and, like, you know, my sister Jackie came live with us for a little while in Las Vegas. So we were in Las Vegas, and made contact with my grandparents, who were from California, but they moved to Las Vegas.
Okay, so they were in the city where you were coming to.
So they were there, and so then I would go be with my mom and my dad. And then I would go be with my grandparents too. And then one day, my biological dad wanted to see me, and so my mom, you know, that was allowed, and so, you know, I'd start seeing him too. So then what would happen is I would go be with my mom and who I call my dad and my family.
Gotcha.
And, you know, and that house we had a house, we had cars, we had dog, cats.
Just very stable.
It was more of like a family base. Yeah. And then I go be with my grandparents, and then I go be with my biological dad. And with my biological dad, you know, I try to be, you know, put stuff out there, but be a little discreet too. Sure. But with my biological dad, you know, there was times where he didn't have a home. You know, we were living at different people's places, things like that, and just pretty much living like, you know, almost like a homeless life. You know, like I remember, you know, being with him and not knowing where we're going to stay one night. You know, I remember, you know, sleeping on his lap at a bus station. You know, I remember when I saw the movie The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, Will Smith.
Yeah, I remember it kind of got to me.
Because it felt real.
Yeah, because I could relate to it, you know. But one interesting and great thing about that life, though, is, you know, Bill and I, that's his name, and I don't call him Dad for, you know, personal, you know, reasons. But Bill, he... you know, living that life with him where we chase the buses, you know, we're chasing buses, we're running around, you know, I'm going with him, I'm sleeping at his jobs early in the morning, you know, and just being with him, you know, because, I mean, obviously he was trying to, I mean, obviously he didn't want to, like, let my mom and my dad know, you know, his situations, because I found out later down the road, my mom and dad didn't really know his struggles.
They didn't know how bad it was.
They didn't even know that we were homeless for, you know, different times. And so, I mean, it's just kind of crazy looking back on it now, but I think because Bill didn't want to lose his time with me. He just did everything he could to have me with him.
Yeah.
And so, and
it's hard because you can't blame him, right? Like he's
yes.
trying. It sounds like he's trying his best. It just wasn't there.
This is it's almost hard to give him credit because of some of the bad things that he did in my life. But now that we're actually, this is kind of crazy. Now that we're talking about this now, and I'm seeing his drive to keep me with him.
It's standing out to you, huh?
Yeah.
You're like, maybe there was something.
Like now I think about it, like he took me with him on his job sites. He took me with him wherever he could go, even though at times he didn't know where he was staying, even at times he didn't have food. He wanted to make sure I was with him.
Wow.
And so with that being said, I guess the hardworking background, all that kind of stuff, part of it comes from him too.
Yeah.
So anyways, I went from that background of being, having the home family life and then going and chasing buses, not having a car,
which must have been crazy for a kid.
Yeah.
I mean that'll get you. What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. So just going, back and forth, and so that was kind of my life. Is I came from California. Don't really remember California. Living in Las Vegas. I saw all kinds of stuff. Mean, I saw struggles. I went through different types of abuse with Bill, and then without saying too much, I'd say, like as a childhood, I was very blessed, but at the same time, there was definitely some abuse and struggles and things that have left scars on me today,
Of course,
but, I love looking back on it because, like some of the memories I have is, I remember going through a movie theater and grabbing all the bags of popcorn and taking it home.
Like after that people left behind.
Yeah, everyone,
Wow.
all these strangers popcorn. Now, I think if you had money, and we weren't struggling the way we were, I don't think you would even think of that kind of stuff,
Right.
But we did, and there's a couple, like, I don't know if you call it markers or highlights or what that I remember, but there's just certain things that happened during those struggles with Bill.
Defining moments?
Defining moments. Like, I remember the popcorn. I remember, him not having a ton of money, but him trying to do what he could. I remember, PJs was a long T-shirt with him. Like I'm pretty sure at my mom and dad's house, I actually had PJs.
Yeah.
But with Bill, it would be like a long T-shirt.
Gotcha.
With Bill, some of my presents would be wrapped in newspaper. Versus with my mom and my dad, I had my presents wrapped in paper, At my mom and dad's, I had all kinds of presents. I could have, who knows, Nintendo 64, a game system.
Sure.
With Bill, it would be different, And so you just have like that.
It's almost like two different lives you were living.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So how did you get from Vegas to Utah? What was that journey?
So Vegas to Utah, my mom had breast cancer. And my dad was working for a business and starting his own business, or I think he came here for that business and then he started his own business.
Okay.
And so we came here because of that. We came here from my dad's business. We came here because Vegas and the pollution, just everything there is not good for with my mom having breast cancer. And then my brothers and I mean, we all got jumped at like 3 different times in Las Vegas. I'm pretty sure my oldest got jumped, and then my brother Eric got jumped, and then I got jumped. So we all went through something where we got beat up, something happened. And so I think, that was another reason to leave Vegas, is just knowing that we just didn't live in a very good area.
Yeah.
And Utah,
looking for a better life, a better future.
Yeah. And so we left Las Vegas and came to Utah. And I remember when I came here, I hated it here. When you go from city where everything is close, and my grandparents, like my grandma and grandpa, I have true lovebirds tattooed on my chest. I have, you can't see really any of my ink, but I have, quite a bit of tattoos, and I have true lovebirds tattooed on my chest from my grandparents because a lot of, the hard times I went through with Bill and at home too. I mean, there were obviously, at home too, there were, different issues that happened. And my grandma and grandpa were the ones who just, took me out to Burger King every weekend.
Wow.
They took me out everywhere and did everything with me.
So they were your kind of your rock almost. They were a stability for you.
Yeah. They were.
Awesome.
They took me swimming. My brother Eric, they would take Eric with us too, and which was really awesome because like now I look at that, and you see, mixed families and you see things like that. It's really awesome that my family, like knew like okay, Eric is his stepbrother, but it's still his brother, and so if Kyle wants to bring Eric too, then we're gonna bring Eric too,
right?
And excuse me, so I mean they would take us swimming. We just do all kinds of stuff together. And
did they come? So 2 questions. One is, what was the business that your father?
My dad did?
Yeah, your dad.
So my dad, his name is Mike Bartok. He lives here in Midway.
Okay.
And he has a company called Bartok Controls.
Okay.
And what Bartok Controls is like, from what I know, just because, it's a
you don't speak that language?
Yeah, it's
I'm
a different.
the same way. I don't understand half of what people tell me. I'm like, what?
It's a different language, but with him, it's like when you turn on the water, the like how golf courses they have pump stations.
Yeah.
At Las Vegas Motor Speedway, because he works on that one, they have a pump station.
Okay.
He works on those pump stations.
Gotcha.
And I believe from what I remember him telling me is the pressure that makes the water come out of your sink, the pressure that makes all the machines work to make the sprinklers go on, the rivers, shoot the water, their little ponds, that all connects to the pump station. If something's not working right, my dad is the one that will tell them, okay, this is what you need. And they pay, and so they pay him for just like that diagnostic.
Gotcha.
And then they'll pay him to order parts, pay him to repair it.
Gotcha.
And so that's what he does. And so I also, another great thing is I grew up getting to go to NASCAR, every March because my dad, he would go to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and you could bring, family and things like that, and we would just be as workers. And so we would go with him to that, and we would go with him to, check out the pump station, and, he would go check it out, and then we would go into the race and, get the neon garage pass. And so
awesome.
We really, so it was really a blessing. I got to meet, Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, Rick Hendricks, Joey Logano,
It's cool. It's fun.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with NASCAR, but those are just, NASCAR racers and names, and so it was really, awesome. But yeah, so my dad, that's what his business is.
And so he came here, you wanted to get your mom out of the pollution of Vegas because of the cancer. And then did your grandparents come?
No.
Okay.
No. So there's really nothing in Utah for my grandparents,
Yeah.
Me, but the thing is too is like they're from Monrovia, California.
Yeah.
And so Monrovia, if they go to Utah, they're that much farther from Monrovia. I have my Aunt Barbara and my cousin Chris that live in Monrovia still, and so where they're at, they could go to Utah if they wanted to, or they could go to California if they wanted to.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a good middle spot.
Yeah, but really they never really came to Utah because my dad, he still had all these jobs in Las Vegas. So my dad would constantly bring me back to Vegas. So my grandparents really never came here until I got married. My grandma, my grandpa, my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my family in Las Vegas, they've really only come here for that one time when I got married.
Wow.
Other than that, it was just me always going to Las Vegas.
And you said you didn't like it at first. You got to Utah and you're like, what is this, man?
No.
Where's the buildings? Where's everybody? Yeah.
Yeah, see, because in Vegas, you had Tupac bumping everywhere. You had people have their, they would have their windows down. People would be blasting their music. Now, it's like if I'm blasting my music, it's like, I got someone in the car like, Kyle, turn your music down. It's like, what? Like why am I turning my music down?
Especially if it's not a big pickup in country music.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and I had a walk, and I used to say homie and homeboy, and what's up, dog, and just, all that hip hop, slang. And so I had a hard time, man. I had a hard time fitting in. The Cowboys, the baseball kids, those are the ones I bumped heads with. And it's just funny, like it's just really interesting to look back on, all of it, and but then but at the same time I loved it in a way too, because I was like the newest city kid.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
unique.
Yeah, so you got like some attention there, and so I was like, what's up, and it's so funny. I tried saying a stupid lie joke, and my dog Buddy, he passed away now, but he looked just like Air Bud, and I remember when I first moved. I told everybody that my dog was Buddy from Air Bud, and he looked just like him. It's like, oh, really? So can you come bring him to play basketball? I'm like, yeah, one day I will. And eventually, they're like, dude, you're full of it, man. He's not Air Bud. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I know. I was just messing with you, man.
You brought him to the high school game. That's funny.
Yeah.
So okay. So you're here. You're having in the beginning a little bit of a hard time fitting in, which many can relate to. I'm not from here originally, from Jersey, right outside of Philly, so I understand a lot of what you're saying resonates with me. But over time, this place really settles in, and it becomes a wonderful place.
Yeah.
That's what I found. So was that kind of where you began at Smith's then? I mean, you kind of got here and then you got into Smith's.
So when I came here, so I moved here, and see, I don't know the exact year.
That's okay.
It was like, I think I might have moved here when I was like 11 years old.
Okay.
And so when I came here, obviously I couldn't work, so I was snow shoveling driveways. And then when I think it was like 14, I was working at Chick's Cafe as a dishwasher.
Oh, cool.
And I hate doing dishes even to this day.
Yeah.
So I didn't last very long there,
But they have good pie.
Yeah. Well, they have good scones too.
Yeah.
And so I went from there to working at Wendy's. And then I was working at Wendy's, and then I became a busser at a restaurant called Mountain House Grill that was in Midway. That is now a cemetery.
Yep, I remember that.
No, it's not a cemetery. What is that? What is it? Is it called a cemetery?
No, it's a cemetery. I think it's Probes.
Yes, it is. Yeah, a funeral home.
Yeah, funeral home. Yeah, not a cemetery. That would be where they put the bodies.
Yes.
Okay.
So funeral home. It used to be a restaurant, and so I used to be a busser there. And then I went from, I think I was doing like Wendy's and Mountain House Grill, maybe. I can't remember. I went from there to 16 years old being a bagger at Smith's.
Okay.
And then, I stuck there ever since. And I think one thing that really made me stay there was, I think, just, that hardworking background of, my dad owning his business, my grandpa being a hard worker, and then, looking at, Bill, biological dad, working and everything like that too.
Yeah, and you I'm sure this is a part of it. You wanted to change it for your kids.
Yeah,
you wanted your kids to have nothing like what you had.
Yeah.
You wanted to change the family tree essentially on that side.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because, you still get yourself in struggles, and I look at it now, and I'm not really. And I was reading a book called The Five. I'm listening to an audiobook called The Five Love Languages.
Yeah, I read that.
And I learned that my love language is quality time.
Same as mine.
That like when they want gifts, I'm pretty terrible at that, man. Like I'll get them stuff, but a lot of times I tell them no. I'm like, no, you don't need it. Like no, you don't want that. But if they want my time, I give you my time.
I'm the same way. To me, that means like having this conversation. That's that's the stuff that matters to me.
Yeah,
the time with people.
Time. Yeah.
So that begins your career at Smith's, which you have to this day.
Yeah, still there.
And then
13 years.
Yeah, which is awesome. So and then you begin this side hustle. Yeah. 2019, I know back in 18 you started formulating the ideas for what becomes MoodyBlu Express.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's Express, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to mess up your business.
MoodyBlu Express.
And then you officially launch in January of 2019. Mm-hmm. And then of course 2020 we have COVID.
Yeah.
Tell us, I'm going to ask this. Did all the, and not that I'm hearing what you're saying, you are kind and you care about people because you just love people. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you use faith and prayer and these things to help you diffuse anger and understand that they're not directing that at me.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious because like I told my son, if you just give it your all and it does pay off in ways. Mm-hmm. Has that impacted you? I mean, because it sounds like you build a lot of relationships, people like me from at Smith's.
Yeah.
And so did that help at all as you tried to launch your company? Has that played any part?
By giving all?
By giving all, making connections, caring about people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that help you get company off the ground? Tell us a little
definitely.
bit about
I would say so because the thing is because I do give my all and things like that, and I've really grown with the people here. It was caring about the people that got MoodyBlu started. Because what happened is because so many people know me here from Smith's. When I was working for a transportation company before, but after time, I realized the focus was in Park City. And as more people started, seeing my Facebook posts of me doing, airport run, or me, doing transportation, me being on Park City Main Street, people would start messaging me for quotes on Ask Heber, which, our whole community is on there.
Yeah.
On Ask Heber, people say, hey, where can I get a ride to the airport? And a couple of people would say, Kyle Moody. And they wouldn't say MoodyBlu Express because that wasn't happening yet.
Right.
But people start tagging me, and then they would say, hey, how much for an airport run?
And you're like, I don't know. I've never done it.
Yeah. And so the company I was working for, I would give them their price, but that price was a lot higher for one guy with a backpack. And so I would talk to that company about, hey, what do you think about, going a little cheaper, doing something, for Heber. But, it's just kind of one of those opinions where it was like, yeah, well, Park City people are willing to pay, and so it's just kind of one of those things where it was like, okay, I guess I feel you there. And so, most of the companies are, they'll come to Heber now. I mean, Heber's growing. So obviously, Park City and other, businesses all around, they're starting to come to Heber. But for the most part, and even just 2 years ago, things are changing.
Oh, yeah.
Even just
every
2
year
years
to year,
ago,
it's crazy.
Yeah, even just 2 years ago, people weren't really focusing on Heber as much. And so when I was doing transportation and I saw the need in Heber, I had some people calling like, hey, Kyle, how much? And some of those runs we would get, and some of the runs they'd be like, well, dude, you want that much money? We can't afford it. It's just one guy. And so once I started seeing the demand in Heber, then I started thinking, okay, I can do this in Heber.
So you were able to customize what you're doing to really fit Heber's needs.
Exactly.
Where before it was more, the company was more about Park City.
Yeah.
Heber was kind of, you were able to say, hey, let's downsize maybe smaller vehicles or whatever, cut the costs, give a better price.
Yeah. So the guy I was working for, I couldn't, he would come Heber Midway, but he was really focused on Park City. And so I started thinking, well, what if I did my own business? And
nice.
so and it's funny because it's really all Heber based, because I would work at Smith's and I'd talk to customers and I'd say, hey, what do you think about a transportation company in Heber? And that's what got it going, was talking to people at Smith's saying, hey, what do you think about this?
So you did your own research. You had your own research group
at Smith's.
Every day, new people, and you just kind of you were bouncing the idea off of people as you're checking them out or whatever.
Yeah,
and getting feedback and then saying, that's great, man.
Yeah. So I kept asking
fantastic.
people at Smith's, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And eventually, I got so much feedback. I'm like, man, Heber's on board with this. And
awesome.
so then I started getting the business, the licensing and, the LL. Well, first you start off with the LLC normally.
Right.
So I got the LLC. And so then we had to come up with the name. And so we're thinking Classic Limo, Fast Express. We thought about, or Heber Express. Like, we thought about different names. And I had an amazing friend named Rossell Savage. She passed away, I don't know if it's like 10, 12 years ago. It's been a good amount of time. But it just feels like, just yesterday at the same time. But Rossell, she was a cashier at Smith's, and she'd be a cashier and I was a bagger. And I would just go hit the counter and just making little, boom, 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 just making little beats.
Yeah.
And one day, and I would always do it. And one day she's like, you know what, Moody? I'm going to call you MoodyBlu. You always, you remind me of MoodyBlu. You're always making some kind of music or something. And the very next day, man,
stuck?
She can be very loud. No, she made it stick.
Did she get on the loudspeaker?
Yeah, might as well. The very next day, she's like, MoodyBlu, what you doing, MoodyBlu? And I'm like 16, like looking around, like, oh man, hi, like all embarrassed, And so like that literally became my nickname by her. Every time I'd see her, it'd be like, hey, what's up, MoodyBlu? And then her and I grew a friendship where I would start going to her house, watch American Idol with her, watch movies with her, get to know her kids, Quaid and Zach, and just had an amazing friendship, And then we had a mutual friend named Andy, who also passed away too, and Andy went and moved in with her.
Wow.
And so we just we had that all friendship, and then Andy passed away, and she went through some heartbreak there, and and just eventually she passed. But one huge memory with her, on top of the nickname MoodyBlu, was there was a Camaro, 90 Camaro. It had the F body. It was the RS. You had the RS, the Z28, and the IROC.
Okay.
And it was the same body. And I had money that I saved up. I worked for it. I didn't have money given to me. And I had no car given to me. I worked hard for that car. And I actually bought a Land Rover.
Nice.
And after a week of having a Land Rover, like a week or 2 weeks, I sold the Land Rover, and I got my Camaro. But the problem is when I was buying my Camaro, they were selling it for like $1,200-$1,300, and I guess someone else offered $200-$300 more.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get the car, and so I go over to Rossell's house. I'm mad. I'm like I'm kind of like sad and kind of beat down, and she knew I was gonna get my baby, and she's like Kyle, or no. She said, MoodyBlu, what's up? Like you didn't go get your baby. I'm like, no, Rossell, they want $200-$300 more dollars. And she's like, what? They rose up the price on you? I'm like, yeah. Now I can't get my car. She's like, hold on a second. She goes and gets like her slippers on. She runs to the bank, goes and gets a few $100.
Wow.
Comes back, gives me money, and says, MoodyBlu, go get your baby.
Wow.
And I went and got my Camaro, named her Sophie. and so Rossell, not only was she, just a great friend, just caring and just so thoughtful and just so selfless,
Yeah.
She gave me that nickname that now is MoodyBlu Express.
That's awesome.
But she helped me get my baby.
And so the name is in a sense a tribute to her as well.
It is. It truly is.
And that's fun. I like it more than the other. You were saying like classic limo or something. They're boring.
Yeah,
MoodyBlu is just funny. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's got it's got something to it.
Yeah,
There's some heart.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is, every step I made on making this business, I was constantly asking customers at Smith's about everything.
That's so
it was
great.
customers at Smith's, hey, what do you think about classic limo? And it was the customers like, dude, that's just too typical, Kyle.
Yeah.
And are you going to be a limo company? And and so everyone just had things. So I was like, well, what about fast express? Like, well, you better be fast, and so so all the names came up, and I thought about Rossell, and I thought MoodyBlu.
Yeah.
MoodyBlu Express. And,
Yeah.
and then once that clicked, I was like, damn, that sounds kind of nice. So I started asking all the customers, like, oh, yeah. Everyone's like, that name is unique, and it makes people think about the MoodyBlues.
Yeah.
And so that's where the name MoodyBlu Express came from.
So at that point, and you're this is wonderful. You're getting the feedback, you're researching the clients, and you're also giving great service to Smith. So it's not like you're taken away from your job there.
Yeah.
You get the idea, you start the LLC, and you begin, and you've never actually had an official business before. You've had side hustles.
First time with everything,
So you're doing all that. You're still running a full-time gig. You're having children.
Yeah.
So you got your plate full.
Yeah.
So how do you grow the business? How do you get from there to here? How's it been for you?
So one thing I can tell you is I think a lot of it, comes back to Smith's. A lot of it comes back to this whole valley knowing my love for the valley. It's the valley knowing like, okay, Kyle's friendly, he's good with people.
Yeah.
I bet he would be good at this too. And so that's what started. And originally I started doing airport runs. So when I started the business and I got everything going, I was still kind of doing it under the radar. Like I had my grandpa. So my grandpa passed away, and when he passed away, he had a '04 Hyundai Sonata that was left in California, and it just sat. It just sat. And I mean, when I got it, the car wasn't even running.
Wow.
And I had it U-shipped from California to Utah, and went and got work on it, got everything fixed. And that was the car I started the business in. But the thing is even though I had the business licensing and all that stuff, that car was not airport certified. And so it's kind of, and really, as I've grown to know other business owners, everyone kind of starts that way, like if you have a chef, he starts cooking at home in his kitchen.
Yeah, really bootstrapped, really just low overhead.
Yeah. And so that's how I started. As I started it in my grandpa's little Hyundai Sonata, I started at $50 an airport run.
Okay, and just real quick, for those who are listening not from here, because we actually have listeners in a lot of other countries.
Okay.
How many miles is it from here to the airport?
I think it's like 40, was it 49?
49, okay. So about an hour?
Yeah, so the ideal time to the airport is 55 minutes.
Can you get me there in 52?
Oh yeah.
No. Okay, so about an hour, just under an hour away.
Yes.
And you have to climb the elevation. It's a mountain pass, just for our listeners. So okay, sorry, I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, you're good. Yeah. So we were charging $50 an airport run. About an hour there. We always recommend our clients to leave 2 hours before.
Okay.
So if a client has an airport run at 8 in the morning, we leave at 6 in the morning.
Okay.
Because we know Salt Lake City Airport you usually don't need more than an hour unless it's international. Then we usually leave 3 hours before.
Gotcha.
You have 2 hours there.
Makes sense.
So I started doing these airport runs for $50, and in my first month, and all of a sudden, man, like actually 2 weeks, 2 weeks into it, 2-3 weeks into it, it just starts exploding. People just start telling more people like, oh yeah, this kid took me for $50.
Did you do any marketing? Did you have a marketing budget?
No.
Okay,
No.
so just word of mouth,
It was all
your
word of,
connections.
it was
I
all
love it.
word of mouth, and then I made a Facebook page.
Okay, just to your
And-
friends. Oh, you made a business Facebook page.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
And that exploded as well.
Okay.
And so everything started happening there. And then 3 weeks into my business, I hit a deer with my grandpa's Hyundai Sonata.
Oh, boy.
And before, actually, let's go like a week before that, is I made enough money where I felt comfortable on getting a auto loan, because I kept getting people that were like 4 or 5 people. I need to go to the airport.
You need something bigger.
And I needed something bigger.
Sure.
So Shane at Mountain Land, was really, and I had like a bankruptcy on my record, not good credit.
Yeah.
And, Shane was able to find someone, and they took that chance on me.
Wow.
And got me a 15-passenger van.
Wow.
And I'm a very anti-van man. Like I just like never
You're an
cared
SUV
for,
guy,
yeah,
right?
I'm an SUV guy.
I think it's a West Coast thing, because my wife from California is the same way. Like, I grew up on the East Coast. It's like we drive small cars, maybe crappy vans.
Yeah.
And so like she's like, oh, let's get an SUV. I'm like, what? Who does SUVs? Anyway, I get out here. It's a thing.
Yeah.
You're one or the other.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're on the SUV side. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I didn't want the van. I remember telling Shane, I'm like, Shane, I don't want a van, man. I want a Yukon. I want a Yukon. I want a Suburban. And Shane goes, says, Kyle, this van will give it to you at a good price. You're not going to find an SUV with this low miles, because the miles only had 40,000 miles on the van.
It was a Ford, right? Or it is a
Yes,
Ford.
Sadly, yeah. I'm not a Ford fan, but
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
All right, well.
Yeah. So yeah, so we got the van, okay. I got the van, and so we just took a leap. We just went and got into our first debt, which was the van. That was our first car payment.
Yeah.
And then a week later was when I hit the deer with my
the
car.
Hyundai, yeah.
See, and the car was the more popular one, even though it wasn't commercially all that stuff. The car was the one I did all my airport runs in.
Because you were giving a lower price on the car?
Lower price
because the
in
costs
the car.
were lower.
Yes, and
Okay.
the van was going to be more.
Gotcha.
And so when that happened, it changed everything. Because then I had so I just got into my first debt, the auto loan.
Yeah.
And it was like what, $500? No, I can't remember. It was like $350 a month. I can't remember it, but I got my first car payment. Okay. And then I hit that deer, and I knew I needed a car. I knew I couldn't take everybody in this van, and on top of it, it was matte black. So some clientele would look at the van and say, "I don't want to go in it," And I did. Sadly, I did have clients who would be like, "You're going to take me in that thing," especially higher up, and and so I knew I needed to have a car. So I went back to Shane and said, "Hey, I just hit a deer in my car. Can I get another loan?" And he's like, and the lender, the guy that, the credit union, or the people that lended the money, they're like, "Kyle, we just got you on a loan."
And it was a big deal. We're taking a risk.
Yeah. And
Gotcha.
so it's like, and you have to remember, Kyle, like, you have a bankruptcy, you got bad credit score, your business is barely starting, and now you want us to get you a second auto loan.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. I was like, yeah, and so then he talks to Shane, and Shane's like, hey, you really vouch for this guy? 'Cause like, this is a big risk. And so Shane vouches for, he vouches for me.
Wow.
So then the guy gets back on the phone with me, and he wants to know, like, Kyle, so you really think I should give you another auto loan? He's like, how do I know that, you're not going to screw us over? And I told him, I was like, look, man, like, I have a really good feeling. I have a lot of faith behind this business, and I know that like, it'll be okay. Like, I know that the Lord will provide, like, I know it'll be okay. And so he took that risk on me. So we got the Malibu. Now, when we got that Chevy Malibu, that was truly, well, so let's kind of, pause there for a second. So you had the van, you had the Malibu. So we had 2 car payments.
Yep.
Okay. Now,
did you get any money for the Hyundai that was totaled or by the deer, or
that money was the down payment to pay for the Malibu?
Okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
yes. Okay, but the thing is at this moment, I was now getting the company logo and everything going. So now I had to be airport certified.
Yeah.
So to be airport certified, the airport, Park City, they want you having a $1 million liability commercial insurance.
Sure.
So once everything started happening legit, I needed a lot of money.
Your expenses go up.
Yes, and everything went up. And so we actually hit a very challenging moment that right when I got licensed and legit, I had this huge down payment I had to do, and I had so much time to come up with it. Otherwise, I was already going to go down.
Yeah.
And I remember, an awesome, amazing friend and judge. I was talking to him. So every day that we got to that due date, like I was getting stressed out, praying and, trying to have the faith. And literally I did not get the money until so I didn't get contact until the morning of.
Wow.
And it was because a good friend and judge that I know came in to Smith's and he said, "Hey, Kyle, how's your business doing?" And he's literally asking me like this, like the day before I had that as money. I do not have
He
the
doesn't
money.
know. You're
No,
like
he
on your
doesn't.
knees, like, how am I going to do this tomorrow?
No,
okay,
he
you're
doesn't,
desperate. Gotcha.
Yeah, and so he's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Man," I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, what do you mean you don't know?" I'm like, "Well, I had to come with this much money, and I don't have it, and I didn't think I would start this to fail this quick. Like I just something's got to happen."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, so when do you need this money by?" I was like, "Tomorrow." He's like, "Oh, tomorrow." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, and how much money do you need?" And I told him money. He's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna make some calls tonight. If you get a call tomorrow, you make sure you answer it." And I was like, "Okay."
Okay, that sounds a little discreet.
Yeah. So I do get a call. This nice gentleman here, very nice, nice gentleman here, and it's so funny because he calls me, and he says something like. He's like, "So I hear you're trying to build yourself an empire, And I was like, "Yeah, trying to do something like that." He's like, "I hear you got yourself in a pickle." I'm like, yeah, I got myself in a pretty hard situation. He's like, "Okay, well," he's like, and our friend, he really speaks highly of you, and I know I've seen you around Smith's and everything like that. I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "How much money do you need to get you through this?" I told him the amount of money. He's like, "And how long do you think you need to pay it back?" I was like, "I don't know, man." I was like, right now with all the calls I'm getting and everything happening, I feel like if you just give me like 90 days, 3 months, I could do it. And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "Okay, I'll come by Smith's and come bring you a check."
Wow.
And
and he came by?
Yeah.
That day.
That morning.
The day you needed the money.
Yeah.
All
He
right.
came by. He came by. He gave me that money. And I remember, I think I called my wife. I was like, "Hey, I need you to get over here as soon as you can and go deposit this check into the bank." So she deposited. I look in the account, it's in there, and they pull out within a few hours, or even like so close. They pull the money out, we're covered. So now it's like, okay, now let's just go forward.
Yeah.
And after that, man, everything just exploded, and we've been rising ever since. And so then you hit that moment, right? So we're rising. We have the Chevy Malibu. We have the 15-passenger van. We start doing all these airport runs. We get to the point where we're doing up to 7 airport runs a day.
Wow.
Actually, so let's rewind. So right when I got the Malibu and we started exploding, I needed more help.
Sure.
And so, here I am. I'm working at Smith's, right?
Yeah.
I'm working at Smith's. I'm starting to get phone calls. I'm like running into Starbucks closet. Like, "Oh yeah, airport. Okay, this time. I'm like peeking through the door. I'm like, okay. And I'm putting their airport run in through Facebook app. And I'm going back to work, and all of a sudden I get another call. So I'm like constantly just going back and forth. I'm getting looked at, just the whole deal. And I call my mom and she lives in California City, now a 2-time breast cancer survivor.
Wow.
She calls and we're talking, and she goes and I tell her how stressed out I am. I'm like, "Mom, I just don't even know how I'm going to do both. Like, I can't do Smith's and do this business. I don't know how I'm going to do both of this." And she's like, "Well, what do you need help with?" I was like, "Well, these calls. Like, I can't take these." I was like, I can't take these phone. I was like, "I can't take these phone calls and book these runs, and I just can't do all of it." And she's like, "Well, why don't I take your phone calls?" And my mom, financially she struggles because she's on disability. With the breast cancer, she's got fibromyalgia, she's got back pain, she's got so much stuff that she struggles today. And so so with that being said, it was a perfect opportunity for her to help me, and for me to eventually get the money where I could help her too.
Yeah.
And so she became our dispatch.
That's awesome.
So for anyone who doesn't know, the person that you call when you call MoodyBlu Express is my mom, Ann. She goes by Annie, and she's the one that answers the phone calls.
That's awesome.
And I was able to just get my phone and just put call forwarding, and I put her phone number on it. So literally, it's just
right to her.
Yeah, it just goes to her if I don't get the call. Like right now, my phone just vibrated. So now that will go to her. And hopefully she's woken up and see that I messaged her on Facebook and said, "Hey, I need you to answer phone calls. I'm doing an interview."
Yeah.
but yeah, so oh no, it says scam likely. So
yeah, I get a lot of those now.
Yeah, it could be scam.
So you're building a team.
Yeah.
To support the demand that's coming in.
Yes.
Your mom joins.
So we get her to answer phone calls, and we get our amazing driver named Trent, who used to be Highway Patrol. And so Trent he jumps in on the business. So I think I actually went to ask Heber, and I said, "Hey, I started this business. We're looking for a driver." And I think it was his wife that saw it and said, hey, you know a guy at Smith's, he has a company, why don't you go check it out? So Trent starts working with me like 3 weeks into the business after I just hit all the stuff, the car accident, the deer, the struggle where we almost lost the business, to now we got the loan. I mean, just all of it, and so Trent jumps on. So now we have Trent, another driver, my mom answering phone calls. Now we're actually able to function.
Yeah.
And so everything just starts rising from there, and then we shuttle a wedding with a 15-passenger van. And we shuttled like 6-7 weddings, and things were just really. And then and we're getting 5-star reviews. All the support. I remember when I first got tagged on Ask Heber, when I was working for the other guy, I'd maybe get 1-2 tags. Now, if you go on Ask Heber, and you say I need to ride to airport, there has been up to 27 people that will tag me and MoodyBlu Express. 27 people,
which is amazing because this is like, it's the best kind of marketing.
Yeah,
it's referrals,
yes,
right? And you're literally at 27 people right out there working for you, but not getting paid. Growing your business.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's just that love and support, and it's just amazing, because when I got all this going and I started about everything, I was actually preaching at the Wasatch County Jail in 2018, going into 2019. Telling the inmates about what are you going to do for 2019. Everyone said what they were going to do. They didn't say I am. They said what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I looked at them and I said, do you not know who our Heavenly Father is? He's the I am. So why do you keep saying what you want to do? Why aren't you including him in there and say I am going to do this?
Wow.
And so they all wrote on a piece of paper what I am going to do. And I told them, like, look, when you get out, take that piece of paper, put it on your wall, remember who has your back. Remember who you trust in, and remember what I am going to do. And I remember saying it to them, and I remember this business I was working for wasn't working out for me. And I thought, gosh, man.
I'm preaching this. Yeah.
So I looked at them. I remember, too. I was like, you know what, guys? I am going to start my own business. And then boom.
That's how
it happened. And that's one reason that no matter what struggle keeps happening, because obviously I'm getting hit with a bunch. We all are.
I am too.
And we're all getting hit with that stuff. But I remembered when I said I was going to start the business, I didn't say I want to start the business. I said I am going to start it. I prayed to our Heavenly Father. I trusted him. And so I knew that no matter what, that if I just keep going and keep having faith, like, it'll work out. And so now we fast forward to where we are. We fast forward looking back on the deer hit. Now we're here in COVID.
Yeah.
And
how are you guys surviving COVID?
So that's kind of a crazy one too. So when COVID first happened, we had a month and a half of airport bookings, up to like 4 to 7 a day, just multiple airport runs. We had 2 weddings, and one by one, just, hey, we have to cancel. Hey, we have to cancel. I mean, and it got to a point where people were like, Kyle, I'm so sorry you're going through this. We have to cancel.
Yeah.
And so it's, everybody was just feeling bad. I'm feeling bad that they're not able to go on their trips. They're feeling bad for the business. And so but then we had amazing clients. We had a couple of clients who just wrote us checks and said, hey, here's this, just to kind of help you guys out.
So they didn't even use your service, but they just wow.
So when we offered them, like we offered people, said, hey, if you want to prepay for rides, we will hold these rides for you. But now it's like we pretty much just had like one or two clients that did that. When we try to say, hey, because we've driven those clients since then, since everything opened back up, we've taken them to the Owl Bar, and dinner and stuff like that, and we say, hey, you have this balance, we can use it. And like, no, Kyle, just keep it, we'll pay you. So we had things like that helped that helped. But what really happened that, like, just amazing, just so amazing, was the government loans.
The PPP.
Yes. Yeah. I applied for every single loan I could.
Okay.
With the help of my, amazing accountant. And so we applied for those loans. And my account went in negative like 2-3 times. And it was crazy because I thought the negative max was like 750. But it would like go over like 800, and so I was in a negative like 2-3 times, $700, $800 in a negative.
Wow.
And, in just moments where I remember one time I was in the shower, sitting on the ground, just like this, just like shower raining on me, and just like asking God for help,
Yeah.
And the crazy thing that happened was I was paying 24.99 interest rate on my 3 vehicles. I was paying $1,000 a month, which is not bad for 3 cars, but I was paying $1,000 a month at 24.99 interest rate on the vehicles. Oof. Well, when all the loans came in, we got them all, and they helped us, get a negative and stuff like that. But the biggest one that happened that changed everything was there was one that offered you up to $33,000 at under 4% interest rate, and you had 30 years to pay it off. When we got that loan, I heard him and called the bank, and I said, hey, I want to pay for my cars. And he's like, okay, so just $1,000? I was like, no, sir, I want to pay all of it, pay my cars off. My car payments for 3 vehicles. So that's another thing too, is we have to rewind. So if you go back, we were about to hit our first Sundance. Last January was our first Sundance, and we needed an SUV. One of my loyal clients had an SUV. They wanted to buy a new Yukon, and we talked about me buying their SUV. So we bought their SUV. So that's where the third car comes from, because I just realized that we're talking about the third car.
The van, the Malibu, now
so we had the van, we had the Malibu,
now the Yukon,
and now the Suburban. And so now we had the Suburban. So then we go hit our Sundance, right? We go into Sundance, and the crazy thing is guess where our clientele came from during Sundance? It's not Park City. It was all Heber. It was people that were staying at the Best Western, the Holiday Inn, the Zermonts, the Homestead, Airbnbs. It was all Heber. Yeah. And it was people that would go book a Uber or a Lyft, and then their Uber Lyft would cancel on them, and then they would call us. And so that's what happened so now we go that time where we get a lot of business. We're taking people to Park City. People go and book us for the next 2 weeks. Like, okay, look, our Uber canceled. That was a nightmare. We can't deal with that. Can we just book you for 2 weeks? So we were driving the same people the whole 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
On top of new ones too. We would drive on Main Street. We get some airport runs there. But for the most part, most of our business was from the same people. They would call us to go Park City, then they call us for this and call us for that, and then they call us to take them to the airport at the end. And that we hit January. And the end of January is when we had to pay our next down payments. And that is a scary moment, because in the beginning of the business, that was what almost took us down.
Sure.
So now we're hitting a year. Now we got to repay that, and we have to make sure that we cover it. Well, Sundance made us just enough money to pay that, get us through a little beginning of the COVID struggle, and we made it. We made it through that. And so now you go from that. So now you fast forward to this new government loan that we just got.
Yep.
Okay.
And you're paying off your high interest, exchanging it for 4%.
Yes. So we went from 24.99 interest rate to under 4%.
Okay.
We went from $1,000 a month car payments to $150 a month car payment. So now I'm paying $150 for 3 cars. So if somehow, which knowing me, the business won't fail, but if somehow the business failed, I could probably still afford $150 for 3 cars.
Sure.
And I could sell a car and, all that kind of stuff. But so we got we're in a better situation because of that. So for COVID hurt a lot of people. It hurt us, it hurt a lot of people. But in the long run, because of that loan,
it's going to help
restructure. We're in a better spot now than we were before, because of it. And so that's kind of, any questions on COVID is, did COVID hit you? Yes, it did. I mean, we're a pretty much tourism business.
Yeah.
We take people to the airport. If people can't travel to the airport,
right?
You think we're going to make it off of $12 taxi runs? And it's and the thing that made me finalize shutting us down was I gave someone a ride, and they complained that I was $12 instead of $10, and that was just kind of like, I can't do this. So we shut down in March. Gotcha. So March, April, and May we shut down, and then in late May, we started getting people and some boarding schools and things like that said, hey, we have these students, we have all these things we need to do. Can we start booking for airport runs in June? And I said, well, we're not opened yet, but it looks like we'll be okay. So I went and advertised, hey, we're open up June 1st. And so people started booking.
Okay.
And so we made it through, and we've been making it through. Right now is normally mud season. October, November, hitting mud season. So like right now I have no runs booked from now until November 21st. Nothing. I don't have anything booked.
Okay.
I think we got 1 in 16, but for the most part, we're pretty empty until more towards the end of the month. And so you hit struggles like that, but now we're advertising to get our Malibu, our sedan, back on the road, because when we open back up, and you guys are just going to edit and everything, right? Okay. So when we shut down and we opened back up, we couldn't afford to bring all the vehicles back out.
Right. You had to be selective.
Yes. And we didn't need the van anymore. I mean, and honestly, we're not ever going to really need the van again. I mean, weddings, things like that. It's just so, I mean, not again, but by the time we need that car again, we're hitting winter, and that van's not a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So I actually sold the van. I decided to let go of the van because by the time we need it, it's going to be in the winter, and that van, rear-wheel drive, 15 passenger van, no. So we let go of the van. So right now we just have the car. We have the Suburban, and then we hired our subcontract driver, Raul, with his Yukon. Okay. So right now we have 2 SUVs and a car.
Gotcha. And it sounds like now you're it's a little bit of mix. Some of the cars are you.
Yes.
And now you're doing some subcontracting work as well. Okay.
Yep,
so a little bit of a shift in the model.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Because that's the only way we can make it. Because I mean, we would hit some days where we needed 2 vehicles, but I can't afford
to have one there occasionally.
Yeah, the company can't afford to commercially insure 2 vehicles. So that's where he comes in, has his car, and then we have our car. And so right now, MoodyBlu Express has 2 SUVs.
Gotcha.
But the thing is, though, is we had to raise our price $15 from the original $100 airport run.
Right.
And because the SUVs are normally $130, but like I said, the guy I was working for before, you can't charge somebody here $130 in an SUV that person technically doesn't need. So we had to cut to $115.
Yeah.
And even then, there's some people that still don't want to pay $15. So $15 more. And so what ended up happening is we got the 2 SUVs out, but we haven't had the sedan, and we're trying to get to a point where we think we can put the Malibu back out there.
Gotcha.
And the same gentleman who helped us out last year, we reached out to him this year, and he literally gave us an even bigger check this year or actually, no, kind of around the same amount. He gave us another check to get the Malibu out on November 15th. And so now, and then there's something about 100 versus 99. So we dropped $1 off. So now airport runs in the sedan starting November 15th is going to be $99.
Wow.
And so we're getting it back on our. So starting November, we will have 2 SUVs and the sedan.
And the sedan running.
So we're kind of back to where we were, 3 vehicles. But we are going to take a risk because we don't have anything. I mean, from 15th to 21st, we don't really have anything, and we need enough to at least cover my driver with his vehicle because he pays his expenses.
Yeah.
So we need enough to pay him and enough to keep us going. So it's definitely still a struggle. It's kind of a gamble.
I just saw yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, Elon Musk. He came out and said that, like, literally for the last couple of years, they were always 1 month away from, I think, bankruptcy while they're developing these crazy vehicles.
Yeah.
So my point is the principles are the same whether it's a small company or large. Mm-hmm. How many companies are foreclosing right now?
Yeah.
Or shutting down? It's business is business.
Yeah.
Depending on the scale. What is your future? What's your dream with MoodyBlu Express? What is it when you say, we've made it? Mm-hmm. What's your goal?
The dream is to have multiple cars, multiple drivers, have a team. Like I see companies like Snow Country and Park City, Peak Transportation, companies where they have multiple drivers, multiple vehicles. We want to be able to, cover all Wasatch, but then go expand. Expand into areas like Camas, Colville, like other areas. Because really everyone's growing. Houses are getting built everywhere. But just like Heber's growing now, right?
Yeah.
But because Heber is still a town, and it really doesn't feel like it anymore. It's growing to a city. But when you have areas like this that are growing and growing, they're going to need more transportation. And if you hit a lot of places like this, they don't have city buses. They don't have things like that.
In those towns like Colville and Camas, they're kind of neglected right now.
Yes.
They don't have options.
Yeah.
So you could be there with them while they grow.
Exactly.
And then by that point, you'll have multiple vehicles in each town.
Exactly. So the goal is, and the dream is to be growing everywhere, and then get to a point where we can actually have a limousine, like where it can actually be being used. Because right now there's no point in getting a limousine.
There's nothing to drive.
Most companies will say that don't get a limousine. It's a waste of money. Suburbans are the way. SUVs are the way to go. But we have had some requests for limousines, but it's just not as popular. But eventually we want to get to a point where we can have multiple vehicles that are being used. And then just seeing what other kind of services that we can do.
Why do you? I mean, you have a big vision.
Yeah.
You got aspirations. And I'm the same way. Why? What are you trying to chase? What are you trying to achieve?
I just want to have it to where people can get to, so most of my clients are business clients. They're going there for work. They're going there for business.
Okay.
And they're trying to save money. If they take their own car and they're going to be out for 2 weeks, they got to pay more money to keep their car there. And so a lot of it is just wanting to help everyone do what everyone's trying to do, get to their jobs, get to their business. And, and MoodyBlu might not always be commercial. Maybe MoodyBlu gets into, property rentals, things like that. But MoodyBlu Express expanding and being a forever company is the goal. And a big thing behind it and the reason why is I'm a father of 3 kids. And when I look at my kids, and that was a huge thing when I started business, I decided, do I really want to be a business owner? I don't know anything about owning a business. Do I really want to do it?
Yeah.
It was my kids. It was just thinking like, okay, if I raise my kids seeing the faith I have, and I raise my kids seeing, them seeing, me being a business owner and never quitting and never giving up.
Yeah, it's powerful.
And just seeing like the morals and just seeing, yes, things are hard, but what do you do when things are hard? You keep going. There's something about, and it's like right now, like this business does not make a lot of profit, especially when we're only going one way. When we're going one way, we're barely making any kind of money.
But I know where you're going, but you're growing as a person.
Oh, yes.
I'm listening to the story. You're growing, you're maturing, your faith is growing, your knowledge about business. So there's value there.
Yeah, see, and that's exactly what I'm getting to.
That's what I feel.
Is like when you take the money, we're not really making anything, especially if we're not getting there and back. And before, yes, exactly, not yet. And before COVID, that's where we were actually getting to. We were dropping off clients and picking someone back up. And so that's the goal. That's the goal, is to be able to do that. And then that obviously make more profit there. But the thing is there's something about, even if you don't make money, even if you're not making a lot of profit yet, there's something about the character that you build and who you become.
100%.
And just, I don't know, it's like that challenge. A lot of times people do things, they get into hiking, they get into rock climbing. People get into some kind of passion that a lot of times it's not even a job, it's not even a business. They just get into the passion because they like that challenge. There's something about having that challenge of the business that just wants you to just keep going and to see what else you can do. I can tell you right now, transportation is not going to be the only business I think I do.
Awesome.
MoodyBlu Express could be all kinds of things. I was even talking to a pilot, because I pick up a lot of pilots. We even talked about getting like a jet one day, like MoodyBlu Express on a freaking jet, And obviously that's kind of overboard.
Yeah. But
at the same time, like, is it, you just don't know. And me having my faith, there are some extraordinary stories, in the Bible of what, a human, a person can accomplish.
Yeah. Limitless. Really.
Yes. And the only limits we have are the ones we give ourselves. And the thing is you'll never know, how far you're going to go on something until you actually do it. And so for me, like my business, when I started a business, if I would have never done it, or let's say when I hit the deer, when that trial happened, if I would have just quit, I would have never known how far it was going to go.
Yeah.
And I tell it to the kids that come into school or come into Smiths, and they're talking about school being hard and things like that. I say, hey, look, you give it your all and then you know how far you could go. But if you quit, you'll never know how far you could have gotten, and so, that right there, there's the reason why I want to do this. It's, a lot of it is to just, just grow, but a lot of it is just seeing how far I can go, seeing how far I can go and seeing how much I won't quit. Because when we look at like Walt Disney, right? When you look at people who, multi-millionaires or whatever, doing really successful, you hear, I think I heard like Walt claimed bankruptcy 7 times or something like that, and it's just like you hear stories and that's kind of like why you keep doing it. It's not for the money,
right.
Obviously it's not for that, but it's just that passion of, and another thing too is I love getting to know all the people I've gotten to know. I've gotten to know some really amazing people, And so it's,
Let me ask you this: in winding down, what is the advice that you would give after the last couple of years, and you've shared the ups and downs, the trials, the times in the shower where you're like, how am I going to do this tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
What's some advice you'd give a young kid that said, hey Kyle, I want to start a business?
Well, the biggest thing I would tell them is don't say what you want to do. Say I am. It's just like what I was talking about before.
Yeah.
Is if you say you want to do something, you're going to take the possibility of failing and you might quit. But if you say I am going to do something, it's like you're almost held more accountable.
Yeah.
If I tell you I'm going to be rich or I want to be rich, I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Well, so see you later. We'll see if that happens. But if I say I am going to be rich, or and really, who cares about being rich? But let's just say,
just
like
change it in your mind.
I mean, let's just. You say rich because you want to put something dramatic,
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know what? I am, going to own a bunch of buses and everything here, all that kind of stuff. If I say I want to do it, then you'd be like, okay. But if I look at you and say, I am going to do this.
Yeah, it changes.
I am going to do it. There's something about it. So if there's anything I would tell people is get what you want to do out of there. Say what I am going to do. And another thing is what is your why? You have to know your why.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have your why, then when the why comes in your head and you're actually asking, why am I doing this? Why am I going to keep going? If you don't know your why, you literally might just quit. You need to know your why. And that's in everything. When you go to college and you go on all that kind of stuff, if you just do it just because people do it, then, there has to be more why there.
Yeah.
That's one thing too, is, in school and everything, we really need to know what our passions are, not just focus on the degrees and the scholarships, but focus on what that passion is. Like, what is your why? You know, because like that's what changed everything for me. It was me saying I am going to do this, and then it was, what's my why? My why? Well, my kids know I started a business. I don't want them to grow up and see I gave up.
Yeah,
that's my why. It's and then why? Do I if I don't give it my all, I'll never know how far I could have gone. So that's another thing too. Is don't give up, because if you say you're going to do something and you stick with it and you do it, then you really find out how far you can go. But if you stop,
you never know.
You'll never know how far you could have gotten. I look at my whole life on all these different choices I've made. If I would have given up on so many different things, I wouldn't be who I am, and I would have never known how far I could have gotten. Right now, MoodyBlu Express has over 65 star reviews on Facebook, over 30 something on Google. We're Better Business Bureau accredited. It's a very favored business, very supported business. We have 3 vehicles. It's
impressive.
You've
built something that people like.
Yeah, we have Trent, we have Mike, we have Raul, we have my mom, we have myself. We have a 5-person team. All the stuff that's happening. It just would have never happened if I would have quit when I first hit that deer.
Yeah.
It would have never happened if when I sat there in the shower, almost about to cry, if I would have just said, I'm done.
Yeah.
But it was just, so is there any advice? And I know I've kind of extended it and, talked a lot, but really if there's any kind of advice I would say is, again, say I am, not that I want to.
Yep.
Know your why.
Yep.
And then know to not quit. And
awesome.
to know that if you quit now,
you'll never know.
You'll never know.
Yeah.
But if you keep going and then you get shut down, like you keep going and it truly fails, at least you gave it your all.
Yeah. No, that is incredible advice, and that's really all it takes.
Yeah.
I have one question for you, and it's going to be the hardest one of all.
Okay.
And I'm making this up. This is a new question I've never done.
Yeah.
You're stuck on an island. Okay?
Uh-huh.
You're stuck on an island. You can bring one album, one book, and your favorite meal. What are you bringing?
I'd bring the Bible.
Okay. I was kind of thinking you were going to say that, but okay.
Because like, you got Paul the Apostle, like, in chains, talks about, just pressing on. Like a lot of the strength comes from that too.
Yeah.
So the Bible's one.
Okay. What's the album?
The album.
I'm guessing in my head, so I'm really anxious to see what you say.
Huh.
Or the food if you need more time.
That's a really hard one. Like when you think about music, because it's obviously got to be, inspirational, motivational. It'd almost be like a Christian song,
Okay.
or straight like hardcore rock, like I'm gonna do this, like when you go to the gym.
So one or the other, yeah. Okay, I thought you were gonna say like a Tupac or something. Okay.
Yeah, well, see, and the thing is Tupac, even though "Keep My Head Up" was really to the ladies and to women,
Yeah.
Like I said, I grew up in Las Vegas. Tupac was like my idol,
Yeah.
and so "Keep My Head Up." I always kept that "keep my head up" in my head.
Yeah.
And so, and like in him too, I mean, he grew up struggling, I mean, he was born in jail.
Yeah.
And so, or prison, I mean, he was born in there and incarcerated,
Yeah.
And so yeah,
So it's either going to be a Christian rock or Christian song or something like really intense.
It's gotta be something
aggressive.
hard. You could do a harder,
like a Rage Against the Machine hard, or that's old school, I guess. I don't know what. What's hard today? Like we talking about like.
It's hard. It's
yeah,
I don't
what are
know.
they called, man? I hate when I can't think of bands.
Well,
Not Chemical Romance, but that whole scene.
No, like see, like for me, I listen to Atreyu.
Atreyu, that's actually the band I was trying to come up with. Yeah,
I love Atreyu.
Okay,
man.
gotcha.
They're my number one band. I've seen them like 4 times now.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it'd be something hard, but something that's just like
inspirational hard.
Yeah, it's got to be something that pushes you. It's got to be one of those motivational songs.
What about the food?
Food. I don't know, man. That's hard. If you're stuck on an island, you want something. I mean, bananas. Surprisingly, like
one meal. I'm just saying one meal. Yeah. You don't have to live off of it. We just got one good meal. What's it gonna be?
Oh, you mean like one good meal?
Yeah, like I'm gonna have one good meal. I might as well have it before I starve.
Oh, dude, steak, meat.
All
No
right,
question about it, man. like I'm a meat eater, so yeah.
Okay, awesome.
My youngest, he's maybe tired of pizza, so I can't tell you pizza.
No, we'll take.
I still eat pizza, but no.
Good steak.
It would be a good steak.
Kyle, thank you, man.
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Quite a story for 29. Yeah, okay. I could tell. I thought you were young. You looked young, but I'm like, the story, he's lived.
Young, huh?
Anyway, thank you for sharing all this. This has been awesome. I think.
Yeah, well, I know we talked a lot. I know I put a lot of different subjects. So
no, but that's what it's about. Like, your story is awesome. I'd love to hear where you came from.
Yeah.
Some of those early struggles.
Yeah.
And then seeing how you turned it around and just found something that really works for you.
Yeah.
The faith and this idea of loving people. And then even watching it carry you into the next phase of your life through your 30s, which I think is going to be really good. I mean, you've had all this hard foundation of lessons and business you're learning. You're in business school right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for any of you guys who are listening, I hope you've enjoyed Kyle and his story, and I hope that if you need transportation, call him. I know Uber and all that's so easy, but this is a guy in our neighborhood. Like this is one of our own, and so I'd love to see people take advantage of the services, and I'd love to see you grow your business and reach that why.
Yeah, well, and another thing too is if you want to compare Uber to MoodyBlu Express, because that is a question. A lot of people say,
I have no idea.
A lot of people say, why should I take you over an Uber? And the answer is we have what do they call it? We have a sneeze guard, like kind of like a plexiglass thing.
Okay.
So we have that. We take precautions. We spray, we sanitize. But the thing is you can depend on us. With Uber and Lyft, I get so many clients, especially the early morning runs. Because we do airport runs 3:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, 5. We're all hours. And these 3:30 in the morning airport runs, you cannot find an Uber. They will cancel on you.
Really?
And they always do.
Oh, okay.
And so one thing is like when you do Uber, they don't have the same accountability as MoodyBlu Express.
Right, because your name's on it.
Exactly.
And now, if anyone didn't know where to find you, they know they can find you at Smith's.
Yeah, and I'm on the grocery cart. So so even if I'm not working at Smith's, you'll see my face right there on the grocery cart.
You're gonna be at. Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wish you the best of luck. I hope it just you find what you find. But great dude, and
thank you, man. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you guys for tuning into this episode.
Thank you everybody for listening, and God bless.
Thank you, man. And we'll see you on the next episode of The Company Next Door. This was Kyle with MoodyBlu Express.
Do that one and that one.